o'clock. I'd like to call the joint meeting of the Police Commissioners and Committee on Infrastructure to order at December 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Aldermatic Chamber. Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Thibodeau?
Here.
Alderman Sullivan?
Here.
Alderman Clee is here. Alderman Dowd?
Present.
Commissioner Dahl?
Here.
Commissioner Craioli? Commissioner Tolner? And Alderman O'Brien.
And we have a quorum of 5. All right, also in attendance.
Is Director Cummings and Mr. Lemire.
First item on the agenda is public comment. I see no one from the public here, so no public comment. Alderman Clee, would you make a motion?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the minutes of the
August, sorry.
I'm sorry, the August 14th, 2024 meeting.
Okay. Motion on the floor is to approve the minutes of the August 14th, 2024 meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Purpose update. We don't have to
August.
do any other minutes, right?
Nope, that's it. That's
That was the
only
last
item
meeting.
tonight.
General purpose update, Director Cummings.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services, and then with me is Tim Lemire, the owner project manager for the police training facility renovations project. Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to report more than anything else that at last night's Board of Aldermen meeting, a resolution passed for the capitalizing the construction for the $3.5 million renovation project. So from a standpoint of the city, we have a bona fide source of funds to be able to proceed with construction. So we will be pivoting now because we are, I would say, at almost or at 100% design towards a construction phase project. And so I've asked Tim Lemire to my right to give you a quick presentation update on the project, and at the conclusion of it, happy to discuss in a little bit more detail how we envision the next phase of this project unfolding.
Okay, great. Well, again, as Tim said, I'm Tim Lemire, GPI, and as Mr. Cummings said, we are close to being done. The construction documents are at about 95% complete, with the expectation that any final comments will be turned into the architect by the end of this week, and final construction documents in early January. Some of the, there we go. A few items just worth mentioning to the joint committee that have been brought up in specificity in the past are some items pertaining to the retaining wall. And what's new with the retaining wall is we're pursuing some design features to actually remove it and grade it out, which we're feeling would be a very cost-effective option and long-term maintenance mitigation for the police department. And in the short term, the cost to repair it seemed exorbitant and not terribly efficient. We had also explored a water meter split between the NTS at 11 Riverside and the police department at 9 Riverside, and as we explored that option with the architect, the interior plumbing component to accomplish that would have outweighed any potential benefit.
You want to wait till the end for questions, or you want to just do it as we
No, go, whatever you got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the retaining wall. You going to
Yep.
lose any parking spaces if you grade that out?
No, we're going to grade out. There is quite a bit of green space between Riverside and the current fence that allows us to grade down towards Riverside without impacting the sidewalk down Riverside or the current police edge of pavement where the parking currently is on the lot. So We currently, with the designer, feel we have the grading space.
So you're gonna have to add material, right?
Yep. Yes, that's correct.
And the fence will stay in the current place?
That's the current plan. I mean, we're looking at where the right-of-way line is to make sure we may, and this is not designed yet, but we may bump the fence closer to Riverside just to give some snow storage space. But that's not, we're not quite there yet with the civil designer. The IT closet that we had planned to do, that is designed, so that design is complete. And the generator, so the generator is currently under design, but with the amount of electrical work needed, it's unlikely we'll have the funds in this project to do the generator. So the generator will be designed, and it might be, if accurate, say shelved until we know what project that might be a part of. And there's no real operational necessity for the police to have that generator done with this project, so. This is unchanged from the last meeting. So this number is.
Tim Lemire, can I just jump in
Yep.
for a quick second? So just one additional element that I wanted to kind of note, which is as we continue along with this project, if the opportunity strikes, we have always contemplated starting to design the parking lot of 9 Riverside, because we know the parking lot needs to be improved. And so as we get underway with the construction project, there is a contemplation of starting to look at the parking lot to prepare the police department for a future project, if they so desire to pursue that, but we know it's a high priority for them. So I just wanted to mention that, so the group is aware that that is something that we would anticipate needing to do at some point in the future if we have the funds available.
You know whether that's gonna be a separate capital project, or is that gonna be capital improvement program over a number of years, taking a portion of the parking lot at a time?
Depending on what comes about in design, I think the thought process would be is to do it all at once. But we will know that better once we have some more information. And it would be a future capital construction
I think
project.
the most important part is the design. You know, the implementation of the design can be done in phases, perhaps.
That's what we would like to get a better understanding of.
Okay, great. Continuing on, this construction cost estimate is unchanged from what we saw in the August meeting, and which is a good thing, but understand there could be, as we go towards the actual GMP in January, in January into February, we know we'll probably have another estimate right before that, because we have, as we said, we might not be doing the generator, but we're adding in the retaining wall. But everything else, Whiting Turner Fields is effectively unchanged from.
Turning is our construction manager?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, until you have final construction drawings, that number is still flexible.
Correct, and what they've communicated to us from reviewing the 95% is that they feel their numbers and in checking with their potential pool of subs is still on track for this number from August, which is, I think, a good thing that some numbers are holding in the market.
And I believe we will be anticipating going out for final costing in a February-ish or earlier type timeframe, now that we have that bona fide source of funds. So we're to try to keep this project on track.
Yeah, and that's what was kind of mentioned verbally, is that, Whiting Turner feels the 95% is suitable for, get a rough idea of their bids with their pool subs at the moment. The overall budget analysis also, I've kept the same since August, and again, there's the generator and retaining wall adds and pluses aren't fully enumerated yet, and they won't be till January, February, but a lot of the other major design features were completed at that point in August, so we're feeling pretty good about our overall project costs.
Which brings us to anticipated future contracts. Not
Yeah.
what I was hoping to have on the agenda this evening, but it wasn't just ready yet for prime time, was the Whiting Turner contract, so I would anticipate us needing to do that in January, relatively shortly. We are just wanting to make sure we have all the final details of that contract worked out so we can present it to the group. We'll also have some other minor miscellaneous contracts that also will need to be approved. As an example, we need to put our architect under a contract again for what is deemed construction administration. It's currently not part of their existing contract. Tim Lemire with GPI as our OPM. He also would need a contract amendment as well to move to the construction phase of the project. So we would anticipate at the January meeting to have a few contracts up for approval, but everything, again, falling within line of that total project cost figure.
Are we anticipating that they will present a construction project timeline with critical flow analysis?
Before the GMP, yes. I don't believe we're anticipating the GMP until February.
Yeah, that's what
So,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
and that's when that would be presented.
Yeah. Right now, currently, we're feeling like the construction manager will perform their bid phase by the end of January and then go into amend their contract for the GMP in February.
Which brings me to what I was going to talk to the group about as we wrap up this presentation, which is now that we're pivoting to the construction phase, I've mentioned this a couple times at previous meetings, but this group will need to meet more regularly and absolutely once a month. I have tentatively suggested on the agenda January 8th at 6 p.m. That's subject to discussion, but obviously, I want to start to develop a cadence or a routine where this becomes a regularly monthly meeting, because we will have to, it's important for us to keep this project on schedule and hopefully under budget.
Just to make note, on January 8th, there's also a finance meeting. So we'd have to keep it to 1 hour, because there is a finance meeting at 7, unless we push the finance meeting to 7:30. It's already on the books.
And I guess that's a question for the group. We typically have been meeting at 6 o'clock. We've typically been staying to an hour. If you'd like to do something different, happy to do that. Evenings at the 7 p.m. time frame are at a premium.
No, but I'm just saying finance is already booked at 7 o'clock, so either we'd have to work to get finance to 7:30 if you feel that this is gonna be more than an hour, or you have to push this to 5:30 is what the point I'm trying to make, if you want the 8th.
And I think we can keep it to an hour, but I don't want anyone to feel like this is rushed. And I have heard comments at times that people feel like when it's only an hour, they feel rushed. I don't want anyone to feel that way. So I'm happy to back it up to 5:30 if folks can make 5:30. I'm happy to work with the mayor and the finance committee to move their meeting to 7:30.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just, whatever the pleasure of the group is. At this time, I'm going to keep it at 6, and we can obviously change it as need be.
Okay.
Could I ask you a question?
Please, yeah.
Back when you were, probably your first slide, you were
Yeah.
talking about retaining wall, generator, and all that. If I heard you correctly, you said the generator isn't really necessary for this project. So just kind of curious, why we're designing it if it's not needed.
So I mean, do you want me to take that?
That's probably more of a city.
Yeah, because I think it's probably necessary from a philosophical standpoint that we want to make sure all of our buildings have generators from a sustainability standpoint, so we can continue, continuity of operations is very important. I think we recognize that this particular building isn't, I would say, a core service delivery building, at least not at this time, but it could be in the future. So for future planning, we do want to have a generator there. There just doesn't appear to be an imminent need for it, so that's why it wasn't prioritized as highly. I think also the thought process is this would be the type of project that would be very competitive for grant funding. And so for those reasons, it was, and Captain Bolton's here, he can correct me if I'm wrong, if I have any of these details incorrect, but that was the logic, and so that was the thought process that went in behind it.
And it will cover both sides of the building?
You already have an existing generator on site for the other building.
No, for the transportation side of the building.
Yes, when the generator would be installed, it would be for the entire building.
Okay, and they probably need the redundancy more than we do.
I think that would be fair to say, yeah, for how they use it.
Have you looked into making the single generator large enough to handle both buildings?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. It was, the current design is to accommodate that. So we don't want multiple generators on the same structure. One of the technical challenges there is how it hooks up on the inside of the building, which is a fairly complicated utility connection as it is. So to hook up a generator to service the building now is taking a little bit of effort in the design to make sure the internal automatic transfer switches are correct.
Other questions? Good. So that essentially concludes the presentation to give you all a general update. So ideally, we'll be moving on into construction after the first of the year, which is what we've always we're hoping for. Actually, let me correct that. I think it's fair to say when we first started this project, we were hoping for this fall, but due to various reasons, we're starting a little bit after than originally anticipated, but we're overall on schedule.
Suggestion, now that the bond is approved, you want to set up a budgeting analysis with Rose, so that as items get charged, you're keeping them in track with each budget item.
Yes.
Because if you don't do that ahead, first time you go to pay a bill, you'll find it isn't there.
Understood, thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, if we could move on to the next agenda item, that would be approval of invoices. I'll leave it to Tim Lemire to speak to the details, but essentially what you have is just the general service invoicing of us designing and keeping the project on track, and these are monthly invoices. And so I would ask for, starting with GPI's August $2,189.10 to be approved.
Have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay. Alderman Sullivan? Need a motion to,
Do you want me to make these motions, or do you just gonna do it like you do for joint special?
yeah, just gonna see who wants them.
Okay.
So it's made by Alderman Sullivan to approve the August 19th, 2024 GPI invoice in the amount of $2,189.10. In discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the I assume you just want to go on.
If we could, yes, sir. Yes, but with that being said, let me just say that all these have been reviewed and have been favorably recommended by Tim Lemire.
May I-
Yes.
So these invoices that we're approving are for what it specifically?
So let me address that. So GPI would be for the owner project manager, which is, Tim Lemire Services, which I reviewed these invoices, and I feel that they're comfortable and appropriate and well within budget. The LBA is for our architect and our design team, and these are just their monthly design fees to design the project to bring us to 95% design.
So this is just for services, this isn't for purchase of any items or such?
That's
Okay,
correct. These
thank
are just professional services, contracts which have already been approved, and we already have the purchase orders issued. And per our rules, unlike in other type of procurements we do here in the city, no invoice can be paid without the approval of this joint body. So that's why these are all held. And that's why, if you're wondering, we invoice monthly, but any of our vendors we work with, we make sure that they know, particularly during the pre-construction period, that we don't pay as timely as you may expect, and so they all anticipate that, and they don't have any problems with the delay in payment.
Okay, thank you.
Most do.
Yes, yes, most do. I will say that is not the same philosophy when we go under construction.
Yes.
So to be very clear, that's one of the reasons why we will need to meet very regularly, is because we will have pretty big invoices that will need to be paid, and we don't want work to stop.
Two questions for the general public. One, these invoices are online somewhere, and typically the invoices should be sent out to the committee members so they can review them ahead.
And they were, Mr. Chairman, they were part of the packet, and so you should have received them via email from me
That's why it was a public question, not, I know we have them.
previously.
And do we have set up a place on the city's website to follow this project?
So, excellent question, Mr. Chairman. We have the Agenda Center set up, but what we don't have, and we could do if you so wanted, is set up what we sometimes refer to as a project page. I will note for the public, project pages are not regularly maintained as like the Agenda Center is, but as what might be deemed pertinent or significant documents, we would be happy to include those up on a separate page and tell a little background about a project, so someone could be orientated more than what you just get from reading the minutes.
It's usually for general information, but it shouldn't get 2 or 3 months behind. It should be fairly up to date. Okay, so next motion we need is a motion to approve the September 18th, 2024 GPI invoice in the amount of $2,079.14.
So moved.
So, right. Motion on the floor is to approve the September 18th, 2024 GPI invoice. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now I need a motion to approve the October 10th, 2024 GPI invoice in the amount of $1,119.82.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Thibodeau. Motion on the floor is to approve the October 10th, 2024 GPI invoice. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Yes, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next is we need a motion to approve the November 11th, 2024 GPI invoice in the amount of $1,965.55.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Sullivan. Again, the motion is to approve the November 11th, 2024 GPI invoice. All those, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now need a motion to approve the July 16th, 2024 LBA invoice in the amount of $5,645.
40? 6,000?
40, yes, 540.
So moved.
Motion on the floor is to approve the July 16th, 2024 LBA invoice. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the September 16th, 2024 LBA invoice in the amount of $1,788.18.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Sullivan. Approve the September 16th, 2024 LBA invoice. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the October 11th, 2024 LBA invoice in the amount of $21,655.80.
So moved.
Motion on the floor is to approve the October 11th, 2024 LBA invoice. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And a motion to approve the November 18th, 2024 LBA invoice in the amount of $11,395.70.
So moved.
All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the November 18th, 2024 LBA invoice. Any discussion?
Could I just ask a question on this one,
Certainly.
please? I just see, thank you. I see that on that invoice, and I know we covered it, but if you wouldn't mind, I just see amend number 5, new generator, and I know that we had discussions earlier that we're not moving ahead with that portion of the project right now, but we had designed it in.
Tim Lemire, to answer that, yeah, we don't currently plan on physically building it, but we do plan on proceeding with the design. So that is the explanation on that
Okay.
November 18th invoice.
Okay. All right.
So the design's going to include the size of the generator and the infrastructure to support it?
Yep, and more likely, natural gas and new electrical building connections.
Just the design?
Yep.
Not the acquisition?
No, and again, that's, the thought process is you'd be more competitive if you had a designed package to present if you wanted to pursue grant funds.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the next agenda item, I had put in anticipation of us having a contract. At this time, there is no contract to review and approve, so I'd ask that we move beyond this agenda item, and I hope to have something for you at the next meeting.
Okay. So next is the general financial overview.
And I believe we covered that during the presentation, so there isn't anything new to provide you at this time, but when we do enter the construction phase and we have the final GMP bidding numbers, we will provide you a detailed overview like we did this past summer.
All right. Next item then is old or miscellaneous business items.
So I have one, Mr. Chairman. And it's tangentially involved with this committee. It is the fact that we have coming down the pike a DPW garage project, and we're gonna need to have a joint infrastructure and Board of Public Works meetings. And one of the questions is when do we have that meeting? We are gonna need one sometime in January. If the Infrastructure Committee is amendable to this, and I still need to discuss this with the Board of Public Works, I wanted to see if starting at like 5 PM on January 8th made sense, or whether you wanted to do something on a different evening. I'm not sure what the pleasure of this group is for the Committee of Infrastructure, but I did want to take this opportunity while I had you all here to have this conversation so I could start to organize something with the Board of Public Works. I have started that conversation with Donna Graham. She's given me some dates when there could be some potential availability, but it is tough to try to organize this type of meeting.
You want to try and dovetail it with other meetings, or we'll be out here every night.
So that's why, I mean, if 5 PM is too early, I totally understand that. I could look to maybe the next Infrastructure Committee meeting, and we do that one at 6 PM. and then this meeting be at 6 PM before Finance Committee meetings. That's definitely something we could do. I'm just not sure what people's other obligations are.
Give a quick status. I think I heard today that you already selected an OPM?
No, we haven't selected anyone technically yet, but I believe there is a recommendation.
And people that are bidding on that program, are we already looking at construction managers?
There was an RFP for construction management and architects that went out, probably two.
I think the first meeting
2
ought
months.
to be is, okay, where are we headed and how are we getting there?
Yes, agreed.
Alderman Sullivan?
I was just going to add that I think January 8th might be difficult, only because I know we're going to take up the downtown dining again that evening, so that might be a long, drawn-out night. Just looking ahead.
At the date they finally threw the dart into?
I'm sorry?
I said, is that the date they finally threw the dart into?
I'm just remembering back from, I think it was last week, that
No, they're changing that.
Changing it.
They're
Exactly.
changing that date, and we're gonna, at another meeting, they're gonna make note that they're gonna change it. Even though we put it in the minutes,
Oh.
that has to change. So
Oh.
there's going to be an announcement
Okay.
that date is gonna change to, Donna said January 29th, but I think it's actually gonna be January 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be the latter January date.
Then-
It was supposed to be January 8th, that was gonna be the next one, that's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
But because finance was supposed to be January 1st,
Yeah.
Donna had moved, without knowing, Donna had moved finance to January 8th.
Okay, well.
So, yeah, so it's gonna, but there's going to be a public announcement so that, at the next Board of Aldermen on January 26th, there'll be a public announcement, so everybody will know that the barrier meeting is going to be. We'll be making a formal announcement and so on.
Okay.
And it'll be put on the website and so on, that meeting, so that the entire public will be noticed.
All right,
That it'll be moved to, she said January 29th, but I have a feeling it's January 22nd, so I don't want to make that announcement now.
sure.
Um,
Well, given that, then I'm okay with the,
Yeah.
knowing that we
The other
don't
thing
have
that
that.
changed today is the meeting on the 23rd, the public hearing and the budget meeting have both been canceled.
December 23rd or December?
The 23rd.
Everything in my calendar is in pencil.
That's why I put it in here, so I can move it.
Like your golf pencil has an eraser on the end?
Exactly, yes.
That's not nice.
Hurtful, Rick. That's hurtful.
It's a golf joke.
I know it is.
All right, anything else, Director Cummings?
Nope, that's it, thank you.
Anything else anyone has? Nope. All clean?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We adjourned at 6:33.